We are on to Good Morning Nigeria. We're live on NTA's network service. As a prompt for our conversation, which is on the same linkage, let's listen to this backgrounder by our correspondent, Ekene Undulwe.
In December 2020, the federal government issued a directive making it compulsory for all subscribers' identification model, SIM, to be linked to the National Identification Number. The directive, which is intended by the administration to provide better security and social policies, was initially designed to be implemented between 16th to 30th December 2020. With the inability of millions of subscribers to meet the December 30 deadline, federal government was obligated to extend the date to January 19, 2021. At the expiration of the January 19 deadline, subscribers have seen several other deadline extensions by government in the hope that more Nigerians and legal residents will have more time to integrate their NIN with their SIM. Data from the Nigeria Communications Commission shows that over 125 million SIMs have had their NINs submitted for linkage, verification, and authentication. With government having afforded subscribers ample time to link their SIM with their national identification numbers, it was time to implement the policy on all SIMs issued in Nigeria. The new directive mandates all telecommunication companies to bar all outgoing calls for telephone lines that have not complied with the policy from 4th April 2022. This move has seen 72.77 million telecom subscribers barred from making calls on their SIMs. The latest development has resulted in the affected subscribers scampering to update their SIMs at designated centers to regain connection. But this is coming with some challenges. What is the fate of subscribers who have been disconnected from outgoing calls? How is this policy going to benefit the country? Guests on Good Morning Nigeria shall be speaking to the issues in a moment.
And indeed, those guests are already seated here in the studio, and I'll quickly begin my introduction with the Director General of the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, and the person of Engineer Abdul Laziz Aliyu, who is seated right here. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Nigerians.
And also joining us in our conversation this morning is Barrister Adeleke Adewolu. He is the Executive Commissioner, Stakeholder Management, Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, also with us in the studio.
Good morning, and good morning, viewers.
And joining us via Zoom for this conversation from Lagos, Otumba Gbenga Adebayo, who is Chairman, Association of Licensed Telecommunications Operators of Nigeria, ALTO. Otumba Adebayo, pleasure to have you this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
And as always, your Zoom connection is sharp. I asked the other time we had you, that's been quite a while now, what the secret is. You still haven't told us, so that we can improve our Zoom with our other guests. Otumba, pleasure to have you this morning. Also with us via Zoom, this time from Kefi, Nasarawa State, Dr. Uche Mbananso is an Associate Professor of Cybersecurity and Executive Director, Center for Cyberspace Studies at the Nasarawa State University. Dr. Mbananso, again, a regular guest on issues of this nature. We are delighted to have you this morning.
Thank you. It's a pleasure having me this morning.
All right, gentlemen, let's begin the conversation with the DG of NIMC, Engineer Abdulaziz Aliyu. I don't know, I remember how many times we've discussed this SIM linkage. On several locations, and you've been our guest. But right now, there appears to be the end of the postponement, as it were.
Closure.
And we've seen the chaos at the various centers where persons are scrambling to get on the linkage. What is the story so far?
Well, I believe that there's been a lot of improvements. By the time that the policy was, we were reminded in December, we barely had 50 million people that are enrolled, but right now we have almost 80 million people have been enrolled, and also the number of centers that we have increased. That right now we have more than 15,000 centers, and we have more than 20,000 enrollment systems that are connected to the back end. Therefore, if even if every system is enrolling 10 people,
Enrollment now refers to obtaining
obtaining the
NIN.
NIN.
That's right.
So even if one enrollment system is enrolling only 10 people in a day, then it means that in 2 months we can enroll the whole of the people in Nigeria. Therefore, the time has been given, and it is the attitude that people don't want to come out to participate. The telcos have also participated. They have provided systems, they have provided their services, they provided the network that needs to happen. They have also assisted NIMSI also in order to make this happen. To me, it is, and even the security agencies too have found out that is the attitude of people, and also they want to improve the processes of government services rather than just arresting people anyhow. But if we have all our services, all government services, NIMSI as the foundational identity, the banking sector, the telecommunications sector, the immigration and driver's license, all these that are really connected and working perfectly, then it will definitely ease the work of the security agencies.
Is it really that Nigerians do not want to register, or because of the encumbrances that come with the process of registration and the confidence issue?
Well, I believe that if you generally the problem is at the beginning is the availability, and that the telecommunication providers and also the minister also graciously approved the private sector to come in. Therefore, there was availability, and it is not something like INEC registration that has timeline that is open and closed for a particular period. No, it is open continuously, and the back end is working 24/7. At any particular time, one can enroll and get the NIN. So, but it's really and it is the system is really secured. And even all the news that we always get that either servers are crashed or whatever it is, all of them turns out to be false news. So it's not the question of trust. It's just as I said, it is our attitude that we want to leave things to the end of the time. Or the last time that we came here, somebody on the TV says he will not enroll until his line is cut off, and then he will come and enroll. We listen to it on the TV here. So I believe that is the attitude of people, but we'll continue to carry out the job until each and every person is registered and all the services are linked, because that is what happens in all these other developed nations that we want to become like them.
Well, before we bring in the other guests, I would like you to also speak on one foundational issue. Who is entitled to obtain a NIN?
NIN is open to everyone. Any person that is born today in the soil of Nigeria, whether he's a citizen or legal resident, is entitled to NIN. So it's for every person. That is why it is foundational. It's not like international passport that is only when you want to travel that you go and obtain it, or driver's license when you want to drive, or BVN when you want to open a bank account. No, it's foundational. It's the thread that links all the government services that you have. So it is for everybody.
You know, Kingsley, just before you widen our conversation, again, we need to enlighten, Nigerians, because I really do not think Nigerians are not progressive. Nigerians would want to do things if they have a clear understanding, of the principles behind it and what, they are doing. So it's within this context that I'd like for you to again explain, for the benefit of those who really do not understand the concept of the NIN and the value it adds, to their personality.
Well, personally, that is the fundamental aspect is for us to organize ourselves, and all other nations to have a form, a way that they organize their own society. Like in the US, they use the social security number for every citizen and legal resident to obtain that, and you provide that for every service that you get. In the UK, they have the national insurance number. In India, the ones that is near to us, they have what they call Aadhaar. In fact, the Aadhaar means foundation in one of their dialect of their own language. And they enroll more than 1.3 billion people. And they actually enroll 1 billion people within 5 years. And see, we have started enrolling in 2012, and up till now, we have not reached 100 million. So that is, there is really some differences between all these countries. So it's fundamental. The citizen wants the government to know him, so that the government should be able to provide service to the citizen. The government also wants to know the people that it has, so that it can plan properly for people. And the law that sets up the NIMSI is there since 2007, and there are regulations that we came up with that covers every facet of one's life. So it's just that we need the enforcement. It's the enforcement. We are not lacking in terms of having laws. We are not lacking in terms of having people and the processes to do that. As I mentioned, that we have more than 15,000 centers across the nation. Earlier, when we were talking in 2017, we were looking forward to have 4,000 centers only, that we should be able to move that. But we agreed that Nigeria is a big country, but we are still a percentage of 10% of India or China, and they were able to do those things. So we too, we should be able to do that in no time.
Okay, DG, thank you very much. We're going to pause you and then bring in the other guest. Earlier, my colleague Claire introduced Barrister Adeleke Adeolu, who is Executive Commissioner on Stakeholder Management at the NCC. Now, tell us, what is the NCC observing at this stage with regard to the NIN-SIM linkage?
Thank you. Well, what we've observed is that out of almost 200 million subscribers on telecommunication networks in Nigeria, I think before this latest directive on the 4th of April, about 125 5 million had submitted their NINs as the federal government had requested everybody to since December of 2020. And that leaves about 73 million telephone subscribers who are yet to submit their NIN, despite the availability over the last 15 to 18 months of various channels. NIMSI, all the telecom network operators have created channels to make it easy for people to submit their NIN. It's a very simple and straightforward process, is what we've observed. In fact, I don't think it should take more than maybe 5 minutes. If you have your NIN slip, you simply send that NIN slip with your telephone number to your network. If you don't have your NIN slip, you have to maybe apply for one or get the NIMSI app and then download your NIN. Or you can use a USSD code, I think it's *346# to retrieve your NIN. And once you have it, you simply send it to your network provider. So it's really designed to be a seamless process.
You think it's seamless, but it's really not. And Nigerians have a lot of things, they're worrying. But I don't know, Kingsley, yeah. Is it not possible for NCC and NIMSI, to harmonize in such a way that NCC, does the linkage from NIMSI without having to involve, the subscribers themselves? Is it not possible?
This is a good point, and I think you heard the DG mention earlier that there's a lot of work going on at the back end. So there are processes where this has been done. But of course, for us to be able to do that, we would have required those subscribers to have already obtained a NIN and to have informed the network operators what that NIN is. So for those subscribers who already had a NIN before this process started, and you remember, I think back in 2020, we had about just under 50 million who had actually obtained a NIN. Those of them were telephone subscribers. The process has been ongoing since then to link the NINs without the subscribers physically having to do much more than confirm that this NIN is linked to this number. I think the challenge has been for people who had not, since 2012, availed themselves of the opportunity to obtain a NIN. So I think these are the ones that you may mention where they hadn't obtained a NIN before the government then gave the directive that it's mandatory for you to link your SIM registration records with your NIN. I think that's where you then found the challenge, because people hadn't taken the opportunity when it was voluntary. When it now became mandatory, there then, of course, a rush for people to get there.
So the over 70 million people you talked about do not have NIN numbers?
No, we don't know whether they have NINs or not. What we do know is that they have not submitted a NIN to their mobile network operator. And as you know, a NIN is personal to each individual citizen, as is a SIM card that they are using. So it's really incumbent upon individuals to inform us that this is my NIN, and please link my NIN to my SIM card. Of course, then behind the scenes, we then do verification to ensure that the individual who has submitted the NIN is also the same individual who is in possession of the SIM card, and then it's linked.
Okay, Barrister Adewale, let's pause you in the meantime. I will come back to you in the course of the conversation to elaborate on some of the other issues. Otumba Gbenga Adebayo, chair of ALTON, that's the Association of Licensed Telecom Operators in Nigeria. Again, you've been our guest on Good Morning Nigeria on this issue. Here we are. We understand now that your members have temporarily or otherwise lost nearly 73 million subscribers whose outgoing calls have been barred on account of a federal government policy. What is it that the telecom operators themselves are experiencing at this time, in addition to what I've just said?
But thank you once again for having me, and I must pay respect to the seniors in the house. DG, I greet you, and EC, I greet you. Thank you very much for all that you do. I must start by apologizing to all Nigerians for the current experience that we have across the country by way of the crowd that we now have at the various operator centers trying to either obtain their NIN or trying to link their NIN with their SIM card. We are really very concerned about what the people are going through, but it is the law, it's a requirement of law that we must comply with, and we are doing all that we can to make it easy for people. The fact remains that we've been on this journey since 2020, when all of us in one digital ecosystem pulled together to see how we can realize the objective of having one national database. NIMC is the authority allowed by law to hold citizens' data. And as operators, all we are doing is to assist in collection of data and sending it to NIMC for uploading and then verification and the rest of it. But the experience now, I must confess, is daunting. It's been very difficult in the last days. We've had people waking to the operator centers as early as 4 o'clock in the morning. Some even came with sleeping mats, some came with lunch, some came with dinner. It's quite tedious on the people outside there, but we need to continue to appeal to everyone to please bear with us while we go through this process. I must say, however, that it's not as straightforward as my senior colleagues tend to explain it. Now, we have the SIM records on our side, which are information provided to us by the citizens, by subscribers when they register their SIM card. At that time, information obtained from them was only sufficient for SIM record and SIM register management. It wasn't adequate. It's not adequate for citizens' identity management according to the policies of NIMC. Now, you have a situation where someone has registered this SIM card. He probably has done it with a name consistent with a particular identification, and probably had used the photograph of his driver or his steward or his housemate or his colleague to do that. Now, he goes to NIMC to register himself, where he has to give all and full declaration. He has to give his right names as it's on his maybe date of birth, birth certificate and all that. He has to give his right identity and the rest of it. Now he collects that information, he gives that information to NIMC. Now we come to the point where we have to harmonize the data. In some cases, you see that the information coming from the citizen's name is completely different from what we have on the same record. And that puts some strain on the verification process. Now, it's only here that I've also seen that people have different dates of birth. Someone may have given one date of birth to the operator when the SIM was registered. He goes to NIMC, gives a different date of birth. You have this problem with back and forth verification. So someone could say to you, I have my name, I've obtained my name, I give it to the operator, they are not verified, they are not releasing my line. These are some of the problems that we face on the field. And we can only continue to appeal to people. So please bear with us while the benefit of all of us. But we must endure this process so that at the end of the day, we all can come to say we are Nigerians, we are identifiable, we are credible and reliable national database. I must admit that the problems we have today is enormous. The challenge we are facing at the Operator Express Center is very difficult, but we are doing with us and they must assist us. At the back end, a lot of work is going on. We identify where the bottlenecks are. We are doing all that we can, along with NIMC and our regulatory NCC, to crack those bottlenecks and solve the problems.
Atumba Adebayo, thank you. I want to still remain with you just before we bring in Dr. Mbana into our conversation. But can you enlighten us more on the nature of those challenges that, are compelling subscribers to even sleep over, at the centers?
In the first instance, people's services, outgoing calls have been bad. Number of people depend on this service for their daily life. So it's understandable that there will be apprehension on the part of people. The crowd is a problem. Because people come with basic objective of coming to either obtain a name or to capture for their name or to register their SIM with their name. But the crowd is enormous. It's difficult to manage the crowd. So the nature of the problem is that people want to come, to capture for their NIN. People are waiting for verification of their NIN. It's taking time to have the verification done and get back to them. We can't lift those services until verification is done. The system on the other end is a bit slow in responding and all that. These are the challenges that we have. As service providers, we are doing all that we can, but really and truly, a number of those pressure points are not on us, other than the issue of crowd that we have to manage. The delays, the pressure points is certainly not coming from the telecom operators.
Otumba, thank you very much for the points that you have raised. We will drill into those issues going forward. Let's bring in now Dr. Banaso, who is a cybersecurity expert. Dr. Banaso, again, we've had you on this conversation sometime in the past around the same NIN linkage. In the context of what is happening now, what are your thoughts?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I think this is the second time I'm speaking on this particular name, same linkage, from the perspective of cybersecurity. First of all, I think it's a very positive thing that the federal government initiated a kind of a digital identity. However, when you compare it with the social security number of US and the national insurance of the UK, those ones are actually initiated when we don't have the digital space. So coming to our name is a very innovative idea, and it will help us to sort a lot of security issues we have. And linking it with the SIM also is a very positive thing for the government. However, having said that, there are always two sides of a coin. And if you look at from the SIM cards and the NIM link, there is the issue of privacy on one side and the issue of national security on the other side. The national security is for all of us to be able to ensure that the good guys are really protected. However, it has privacy issues that needs to be seriously addressed, especially when we look at the risk factors. And I'm going to give some insight, some good examples, which I don't know what has been done in that aspect. For instance, if one of the risk factors you can easily come by is the issue of if someone's SIM card is cloned, for instance, and used to commit a crime, the innocent person might be punished. And also the fact also that there is possibility of somebody hijacking your SIM and also use it to commit crime is another risk factor. So if you just take the two examples, how do we really address those risk factors to be able to make sure that innocent citizens are protected from any misuse of this linkage? So to say, my concern is just the privacy issues that has to do with the linkage. So if we actually have a good architecture and a kind of a real-time systems to how to construct even when the NIMS is misused, and to be able to filter out such a misuse, it will go a long way to be able to protect innocent citizens. So having said that, I think more work has to be done from the side of cybersecurity. And as I have said in many occasions, any system that is facing the internet or the digital space, as it were, needs a thorough interrogation from the local experts. Because if you know what is happening in the cyberspace today, and the kind of vulnerability we have, even for us from third world countries that import almost everything, it means that our cyberspace is a porous, and the only way we can be able to reduce the impact or reduce the vulnerability is involving the local experts who can be able to find out the vulnerability surfaces and how to mitigate these vulnerabilities to reduce our risk. Because all the vendors from outside will satisfy their national interest. They are not going to satisfy Nigerian interest. Their own interest is to sell these products to us and also make money from us and also protect their national interest. So my concern is how we really engage local experts in every system that is facing the internet or digital space must be subjected to vigorous testing, verification, and validation from the point of our privacy and national security. So this is very, very important. The initiative of the government is very fantastic. There's nothing wrong with it. But I think we need to do more in terms of protection of NIM and the privacy of our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mbana. So you've just taken my next question out of my mouth, because I was going to ask you if the cyber security implications that you read out are worthy enough to warrant a review of the policy in total, or to look again at the compulsory enforcement of linkage to subscribers.
Yeah, that's actually the main concern, and it is not really very transparent how the providers are actually protecting the NIM with the multiple entry points, and so the architecture is not known. And most clients, what they do is that things of this system architectures that of national value has to be actually scrutinized. And so that because when it affects everybody, it has no isolation. Anything happening in the cyberspace doesn't have any immune to anybody. So it can affect even anybody at all. So it is important at a very inclusive engagement in anything that is facing cyberspace to get more input from experts. So we don't really understand the architecture of how these linkages are happening at multiple points, all the service providers. And by the way, let me mention this. One time I wanted to buy something from Amazon, and Amazon was requesting my name. And I was so surprised that Amazon is requesting my name to be able to offer me a service. I shouldn't put my name to Amazon for Amazon to offer me a service. If I know Amazon needs to identify me, and there should be a sort of an identity provider from Nigerian Federation, and to be able to identify me, not asking me directly to put my name. Because if I put my name to Amazon, that particular name is in another domain database. You don't know the extent at which it can be used. So there's a lot of leakages, in the cyberspace that need a thorough interrogation, a thorough interrogation to be able to ascertain how these things work and have something that is near tamper-proof, because it's very, very important from national perspective. I don't know if I make sense.
Absolutely, thank you.
You've made, of course, a lot of sense, Dr. Mbana, so thank you. We'll come back to you in the course, again, of the conversation. Let's return to Abuja studios. DG, you've listened to a number of points that have been raised.
Yes,
I want you to have a free rein to respond to the issues that have been raised, and then we also pop additional questions.
Okay, well, thank you very much. From what I gathered, like from the last speaker, when he talks about the Amazon asking for NIN, I believe that they have not had discussion with us, but I believe that for every nation they will ask what is the requirement, what is the form of identification, and once that they find this, then they will ask for that. But as he says, that is not proper to just give your NIN to whoever that asks. If Amazon is paying taxes in Nigeria, then we will have given them our NIN. But what we have done so far is the tokenization. We've been talking about this tokenization. Tokenization means that you give your NIN an alias, and that you issue the alias to the service provider, and after about 72 hours, that alias will disappear. So it will hide your NIN. So your NIN is only with us. So that is what we have worked to really resolve that privacy issue. And also,
you need to say that again.
Yeah, you need to repeat
Yes.
it. This is not, again, if you're repeating it,
yes,
what you are doing is not legal. It's not intended for deception, is it? That is to say, what you were saying now, the alias in lieu of a full name.
yes,
It's not intended to be deceptive, but to protect
to protect the NIN.
the name.
Yes.
Yeah. So how does that work?
Yeah, tokenization has been around for ages, and it is being used like in the financial sector. So tokenization means that you hide the information, with scramble it with something else. So if you use the mobile app of the NIMC, then you have that facility to tokenize the NIN and give for every service provider. If I go to MTN or go to immigration, there will be different token that I will give them. And after 72 hours, it will disappear. So the same thing with the Amazon. If they ask for NIN, then it should be a tokenized NIN that will be given to them. And after 72 hours, that token will disappear. And that is what we've been preaching since last year to now, and also it is available on the mobile app, and also that, as he mentioned, that there are so many institutions that are in charge of the cyber security and also cyber crime. The Office of the National Security Advisor is at the lookout. NIDA is also checking the cyber security aspect. We ourselves too, we have people that also doctor trained in his own facility that takes care of our system. And apart from that, we have external penetration testers that can only do that. And also, but there are challenges, like from the endpoints. That is those people that are carrying out the enrollments that we do. That is again why we insist that that system that is carrying out the enrollment, we build security to it. It doesn't do anything else. And also in some of these systems, like our partnership with the telcos, some of them connect to us directly on a local area network. We don't even go into the internet. All this to reduce those risks. And also we imbibe the world standard, like the ISO 27000 and one certification. Just Wednesday, the day before yesterday, that we recertified for this year, and we did not have any major or minor issues. So we only had some observations and areas that we need to improve in those areas. So if one is following the standards, definitely we are in tune with this. And also that these are just the standards. And again, no one will bring out his own architecture to the general public, because we are Nigerians. We also insert some of our wayo into the network, the way we understand it, just the way that other people understand it outside. And also, Otumba talks about verification. There is a lot of challenges in the verification, again, because we are working all as an ecosystem, as partnership with the financial sector and telecom sectors. Now we are in the process of having nodes for the verification with the telcos and also with the financial sectors. Therefore, they don't even need to hit us when they want to carry out those verification service. And also the tokenization system, which is the alternative of the other verification service, is very, very fast, and we process millions of records on it in a day. So the system, as he says, there's a lot that is happening at the back end, and we work with the telcos. Sometimes we even avoid the internet completely so that we will not be exposed to those securities.
DG, the chairman of Alton raised the peculiar nature of the SIM record management and the attempts to link it to the NIN.
Yeah.
Namely, because of our culture, some persons will give money at the time they were purchasing their SIM to their driver, to their PA, go and buy me this SIM. The SIM cards that I bought over 20 years ago, that was in 2001, are the same SIMs, not the SIM cards now, because some of them have become micro. They are the same SIMs that I've been using. But some others, you know, who are big men, will say, okay, send your PA to go there. And Otumba says that you are having this mismatch.
Just, you know.
So how are you dealing with that, or how can that be dealt with?
Well, okay, thank you very much. So all what you have said is to do with the functional activities that we carry out. But when it comes to identity, and in this 21st century, what makes us unique, all of us, is our own biometrics. And this biometrics is our 10 fingerprints, and then our face, and also the iris. That is the common one that we use, but there are many other biometrics that can be used. So what we do is to make sure that we collect these fingerprints at a controlled way, and also take the face in such a way that it can be utilized for also verification, and before we issue you with a NIN. Therefore, if you issue you with the NIN, and the NIN is a randomly generated number, 11-digit number, and because it is not serial, again, otherwise some people will say that, why are you giving me a number bigger than this? So it's randomly generated, so that, and also, that is the difference with the US number, which is the US number will say that you are black or white, or you live in this social place, which is difficult to manage. But in 21st century, is this random number. So we give you that random number. So when you now issue that random number to a service provider, so even that one too, we said you can tokenize it and issue only the token. Then they need to also verify, and that verification have to happen using the technology. So it should be very, very fast. It's no longer that the fingerprint and whatever that you are verifying this NIN. Then if you want to know who is behind this NIN, then you can see the fingerprint and also the face of the person that is behind that fingerprint. So at any time that the person comes up, then you should be able to see the face and compare, and decide whether to give service or not. And we have come a long way. All these SIMs that were bought without registration have all disappeared, have gone away. And also, with this terrorist attack that I'll mention, the train attack is, from all indication, is a terrorist attack. But if it is only kidnapping or whatever, it has changed from ordinary people do not do those things again. It's rather the hardened criminals. So there is a lot of improvements over these 15 months that we have been doing the exercise.
You know, I would have loved Tumba Benga Adebayo to restate the challenge, or to ask whether he's satisfied with your explanation. Because I thought that what he said was that, look, you obtained your SIM by proxy, and the data for that SIM do not match the data for the NIN. And that even when you have that, all kinds of different dates of birth, people are grappling with it. And so October Adebayo is right back on the screen. So maybe we'll just ask him to.
Yes, just before you take it up, let me just give you a personal example. Like I was saying, someone else registered my mother's, phone SIM. The details on that is quite different from the details she has on her NIN. Now, it's difficult to do the linkage. It's as simple as that.
Precisely.
Otumba.
Modification. It's not the same person. So modification.
Otumba, please take it up.
You're absolutely right with the analogy. That's just what it is. We also find out that people actually have multiple dates of birth, which is quite strange, actually. And so when these people come to the center, each of them come to argue that I have my name, I have given you my name, why are you not verifying it? So we put that to test. Other than that, the delay in getting back the confirmation or verification otherwise. When he comes back and you say to them that, sorry, your record with us do not match that of the NIN that you brought to us, and they just go on very, very unhappy, actually. They go irate and become very unhappy. That's one experience. The other is also that there are also people that come with phantom NIN. We know that NIN are numeric. Some people come with alphanumeric NIN, which obviously is not originated from NIMC. But these people, after taking time on the queue, they come to the experience center with this NIN that is unreadable, and they just behave in very funny ways, actually. So those are some of the experiences that we have, and we've had to return them back, say to them, go and obtain either a proper NIN, or go and have your date of birth issues corrected or otherwise. These are some of the experiences and challenges that we have. There is no doubt that this puts some strain on the systems of NIMC, particularly in terms of verification. I must thank the DG of NIMC for his enormous good work. I mean, we've been on this journey for long. When I knew him, he had fewer gray hair. Today, all his hair is gray because of the pressure of work that he faces there. But it's also that he seems to also have inherited a fairly heavy system in the ways that the systems are being tested, are being challenged, and sometimes the response is quite slow in getting response from their end. Not for want of not wanting to do it, but if you look at the number of people that we are now trying to manage, number of identities that have been verified, the kind of situation that we are having to return to them for reconfirmation and revalidation, there's no doubt that they have their own challenges at their end. And so our appeal to people is to please show understanding. Government has said this is what we have to do, and that's what we have to do. It is the law, and it is the law. But while this goes on, while this lasts, we need to just continue to appeal to people. It's also not enough to bring a NIN to our center and believe that that solves the problem, because a NIN that is not verified, we cannot connect that to a SIM. So it's important that NIN is verified. Verification process take a while. When it is verified and confirmed, okay, then we can proceed to lift the restriction on the service. So the cycle is fairly long, actually. And we just need to continue to appeal to people for patience and for understanding. Mismatch is one. Improperly, fake NIN being delivered to centers is one. Time delay in getting verification is another one. Impatience on the part of subscribers is another problem. And situation in our center as we speak, chaotic is actually an understatement. It's very difficult. And we are concerned that even those who work there, sometimes they're at high risk, actually, because of the behavior of subscribers who come to complain.
I don't know. Please go ahead. I will ask.
Let's get also the view from the NCC. We said that it's not as if we couldn't possibly have envisaged this, particularly registration by proxy, and therefore how to get around it. Let's be honest with ourselves. How many big men or big women we go to a service provider to say, yes, I want to obtain my NIN, and then you get there, you sit down, they take all your details. You normally will send somebody else. So how do we get around these challenges now arising?
Well, thank you, Kingsley. As you know, SIM registration has actually been a process that's been around for almost about more than 10 years in Nigeria now. And this was done to kind of curtail this kind of proxy registrations or registering with fictitious names, or not providing the correct information. And you'll note that now that we have a foundational identity, which is the national identity number, where people's identities and biometrics are captured in a controlled environment, so that when you have a name, we are pretty clear that the Nigerian National Identity Management Commission have done their job to ensure that this person who says is Mr. A has had their details captured. This is what we're now seeing, is now that we have this foundational identity, people who have used proxies to register for SIM, because at the time this little, what I would call maybe loopholes in the system, enabled them to do that, are now coming up against this challenge. Now that they have an identity which has all their 10 fingers captured, has their facial systems captured, we are now comparing that to the SIM registration record which people may have given us a few years ago. And if it doesn't match, then it's clear that this person has not made full disclosures of who they are. And this is the opportunity for us to now get it right. So I believe that yes, there are challenges, but eventually at the end of this process, we will know that if you are using a SIM card which says you are Mr. A or Mrs. A, and that SIM card is linked to a national identity number which establishes your identity, then all these kind of things go away. And over the years, we have brought in regulations, the registration of telephone subscriber regulations, which telecom operators are obliged to apply in the SIM registration process. Also, in 2020, the Honorable Minister for Communication and Digital Economy, the DG, and the CEOs of the NCC, NIMC, and the telecom operators all sat down together and really reviewed the entire SIM registration and NIN linkage process. And we tried to bring in rules and regulations and processes which kind of prevent this kind of proxy registration. Or where, for instance, people are, physically challenged, or have other what I call indispositions, which means they can't physically go there. There are agreed proxy arrangements, which means that whoever the proxy is must come with a formal authorization with some identity to prove that he's properly authorized by the owner of the SIM to come and fetch it.
What you are saying
Yes.
is understandable.
Yes.
But we're just talking about our reality.
Yes.
Namely, you're talking about persons who are otherwise challenged and may not be available to do that, so they need a proxy.
Yes.
So what authorization? The person is illiterate, the person is challenged, cannot read or write, and how does the person get around that? Because we have so many instances of that.
There are guidelines on this, which the telcos are well aware of. There are various ways in which we can check that.
Okay.
It may be, for instance, when you are asked to bring when you apply for a SIM replacement pack, or you want to get a new SIM, there are various guidelines which we've issued with the telcos, so that we can make sure that nobody is disadvantaged. There is some way in which you can prove who you are and that you have authorized somebody to get proxy for you. I was just explaining that these procedures are in place for those who have legitimate reasons for needing to use a proxy.
Okay.
However, if you do not
see another issue which is related to this. Claire mentioned this earlier, that a proxy registered for her mom.
Yes.
We have many instances in Nigeria at a time when we were, so to speak, bragging about the number of subscribers, 119 million, 197 million. Some of those SIMs were acquired in a sense that, look, oh, my mother is in Benin, my mother is in Kaduna or in Sokoto, so I buy a SIM-ready phone, SIM-ready phone. and said to her, say, my pikin, you do well, oh, the phone don't they work. So how do you deal with that issue this time around?
So this is what I was trying to explain, was that part of this new
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me hold you. We'll just take a short break. When we come back, you give us that explanation. Please take the break.
Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, and Voice of Nigeria, VON, cordially invite general public to the 16th Annual Ramadan Lecture. Topic: Social Media, Effect on Morality. Guest speakers, Professor Ishak Olariwaju Oloyede, Registrar, Joint Admission Matriculation Board, and Professor Ismail Shehu, Department of Political Science, ABU Zaria, under the chairmanship of Architect Muhammad Namadi Sambu, GCON, former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Special guest of honor, Right Honorable Oladimeji Bankole, former Speaker, House of Representatives. Royal Father of the Day, His Highness Ambassador Ahmed Nuh Bamali, Emir of Zazzau. Chief Host, His Excellency Malan Nasser Ahmed El-Rufai, the Executive Governor of Kaduna State. Hosts, Malan Yakubu Ibn Muhammad, Director General NTA, Dr. Mansur Liman, Director General FRCN, and Osita Okechukwu, Director General Voice of Nigeria. Date, Saturday, 9th April 2022. Venue, Lumana Multipurpose Center, River Close off Jabi Road East, Kaduna. Time, 9 a.m. Inshallah. Announcer, Organizing Committee.
We are all Nigerians. Against all odds, we shall and must remain united. We may have our challenges, our problems, and setbacks. However, together we shall overcome them all. What doesn't break us shall make us stronger. This is the mindset that shall bring peace, progress, and prosperity to our beloved country. Do not let tribal and religious sentiments govern how you think, act, or feel. Don't be influenced by those who want to destroy our precious national unity. Everybody who is a Nigerian is your brother and your sister. This is the mindset of the new Nigeria. It is also the mindset that we must all adopt. Let us support each other in creating the Nigeria of our dreams. This message is from the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise, remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve the sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels. Leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news, or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being above board, by being civil, patriotic, and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency.
Arise, O Nigerians! Let's applaud the courage of Flight Lieutenant Abayomi Dairo, aka the Aggressor, for his skillful and dogged escape from the bloodthirsty bandits in the forest of Zamfara State. 3 hearty cheers also to all military and security personnel who are tirelessly protecting fellow Nigerians from insurgency and banditry while maintaining peace and order. Nigerians are proud of Abayomi Dairo and all our gallant men and women in uniform for sacrificing so much to keep us safe. We admire your courage and we say thank you. God bless the armed forces. God bless Nigeria. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The Council of Our Fathers.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this country. So those who experience it will run away from it.
Nigerian youths Let's build our nation together.
All right, you're welcome back, and it's still Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. We still have all our guests with us for this conversation. Before we went on that short break, Barrister Adewolu of the NCC was explaining and trying to respond also to the questions that were raised, where you had instances of proxy registration, and those, of course, the proxies are not now in the same physical location as the holders of the SIMs. So how do you resolve all of this?
Okay, thank you, Kingsley. I was trying to explain earlier. Now, I think there are different scenarios. There are people who, as the chairman of Alton said, have intentionally provided either false names or assumed names in obtaining their SIMs. And then, as I was trying to explain earlier, there are also genuine cases where people, for one reason or the other, may not have been able to physically attend a mobile network operator's customer care center to get their SIM. And maybe they've sent a proxy, maybe a child or a carer to do that. With those genuine cases of proxy registrations, there are processes by which they can still use a proxy legitimately. I think it may be that the proxy has to present his or her own name, and then go to the mobile network operator to do whatever transaction they want to do on behalf of the person who is not able to do so. Of course, they would also need to try and obtain a name for that person and present it to. So, for legitimate proxy cases, there are procedures which the mobile network operators can use to assist people who genuinely have these kind of issues. For those who have decided, for whatever reason, to present fictitious names or fake names, then our processes, SIM registration processes, which we have agreed with mobile network operators, are meant to flush out those kind of inappropriate behaviors, because they found that these kind of people are the people who are causing all kind of challenges using telecommunication networks. And I'm happy to say that you will not find any SIM on Nigerian telecommunication networks that has not been registered. That we have zero tolerance for. The telcos know this, they have obligations, they have regulations, and as regulator, we are not afraid to take sanctions against an operator who allows this to happen. Of course, at the grassroots level, there have been challenges. Maybe some agents were trying to sell what we call pre-registered SIM cards to try and ease people. This is behavior which we have stamped out. We're working strongly with. The entire revised national policy on SIM registration, again, was targeted at reducing the ability of agents or anybody to register SIM cards without the appropriate identity. And I think the NIN have actually come in to bolster that. If you don't have a NIN, you cannot be registered. And the mobile network operators have been given very clear guidelines that you must control your agents, you must ensure that registration and enrollment by telcos is done in controlled environments. Indeed, we have gone across the nation to inspect these offices or centers where this thing is being done to ensure it's, a controlled environment. It's owned by the MNO. They have control of it. We know the staff who are doing this. Again, to ensure that information is not mismanaged, people do things correctly. The person who presents for SIM registration is determined to be the appropriate person they claim to be. So all of these are done to try and sanitize the system and make sure that these kind of incidences which we have are eliminated. These you will find.
Let's hold you and bring in Dr. Uche Mbana. So our time is, is fast spent, so that we can come back here and take your closing thoughts. Dr. Mbana, so I'm sure you must have heard the DJ talk about the impact of what has been done so far on security challenges in the country, and you also talked about the fact that this is a unique experience for us in terms of the impact it will have on the insecurity that we're grappling with. How much more so since this program started has that happened? Dr. Mbana, so did you hear me? Can you unmute yourself? Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, fine. Please go ahead with your answer.
I need you to please take that again because you went blank for a bit, please.
Okay, I'm just wondering whether the what the DG said about the impact of this NIN registration and linkage of SIM on insecurity in the country, whether it resonates with you, since you also talked about how innovative this program has been.
It certainly does, because the reality is that today there are no unidentifiable SIM cards on the national network, and part of the problems that we are seeing is because people are actually known and registered. If people are not known and registered, you not even know who to address or who to disconnect, who not to disconnect. So it certainly does, and unfortunately, we do not celebrate the successes by our security agencies. We talk more about the negatives. When there is an incident, we talk a lot about it. The number of attempts that information provided by the telcos has assisted them in falling. Nobody talks about those in the public place. We all must take time actually to commend those who put their lives on the harm's way to keep us safe. And so, in our view, this has helped a lot in very many ways. It has enabled us to work a lot with all those who keep us safe. And we are really comfortable about the integrity of the data and information that we keep. Now, I need to talk about security and protection of the people's data with us. Now, part of the process of verification that we are doing to ensure that the systems the database is uniform is to ensure we have throughput from end to end. And the cumbersome nature of that verification is because of the integrity of the systems of NIMC, I must say. Access to it is very difficult. I would say more or less, maybe it's like what I would call a narrow way, because of the safety, among other things, and the security of infrastructure that they have there. So people don't have anything to worry about. We as operators only capture data. And we capture the data, we transmit further through secured link to NIMC to confirm and to issue the NIN, and that's sent back to us, and we end up sending it back to the subscriber. So the issue of security and protection of the data that is passing through our systems are secured. What obtains are NIMC, and I'm sure the DG of NIMC had also spoken to that extensively today, is also quite secured. So yes, I align with the DG of NIMC that we've been able to do all that we can, and we're doing all that we can to support the security agencies in terms of national security and protection of people.
Well, Atumba, thanks. I thought Dr. Barasa was going to take that question, but you've already responded. I have my own set of questions for you, and if you can just take them quickly, yes or no, I believe. If a subscriber has multiple SIMs across the various networks, is there a requirement for each of those SIMs across the various networks to be linked to the NIN? That's one. Two, what is required of foreigners who arrive our country and have no NIN and want to obtain a SIM so that they can communicate? I mean, you've had the benefit of traveling, and you arrive at your destination. Some SIMs are being sold at the airport. All they require is a means of identification, namely your international passport. What do we do in this instance with foreigners who are arriving in the country and have no NIN?
On the first question, yes, all SIM cards must be linked to NIN numbers. In essence, if you have SIM card with different operators, you must link your NIN with that, and you must do it at the point of your operators. In essence, it could be via the link provided, it could be via their website and all that. But you must at least attempt and attend the registration point of the operator to connect your link with that SIM card, irrespective of what operator it is. So the fact that you have multiple SIM cards, you can't just go to one operator and have all your numbers which doesn't belong to that operator linked to the SIM card and to the name. So you must do it line by line, but one name, of course, linked to all of them. On the foreigners, I think I'll allow the DG of NIMC to take that. We do have a protocol for getting their registration in. I think in the first instance is that they must submit copies of their entry visa and international passport for a period of time, after which they are then required to obtain a NIN if they are legal residents. If they are just visitors, there is a special protocol by which that is done. But I'll leave that to the DG of NIMC to address.
Did you address, Atumba, did you address the issue of foreigners who are arriving, what they should do?
Kingsley,
I wouldn't know.
Yes,
well, I didn't pick that up. You know, we're having some internal conversation here. DG, maybe you may also speak to that very quickly before we wrap up.
I want to say that, you see, for the past 15 months, the any time in the morning and you take your phone to make a call, the telcos will then tell you, submit your NIN. You understand? Will also tell you that if you do not know your NIN, dial *346# to get it. So there has been this long
and I'm sure
publicity.
Nigerians would have told these people are disturbing me.
And yes, and also there is this modification of mobile phone. Like say you're on that your brother bought the phone, he can go back and modify the phone and remove your mom. If he has put your mom phone, he can modify and put his own phone number, so that he can then allow your mom to then use her, insert her own. Then the mobile app also allows up to 7 SIMs. You can submit up to 7 SIMs at a go. That is if you use the mobile app, and it will also ask you if you are still using the number that you registered with in NIMC, or you have changed your number. Then it gives you those opportunities. And also before now, we don't used to allow correction of date of birth because of our peculiarities. Because we took our systems from the Western countries. You can never change your date of birth in the Western countries. But because of our peculiarities, and we studied India and Pakistan in particular, that where they allowed someone to make modification only once, and that you should also make some payments. So that is why payment for modification is 15,000 for the date of birth. So even whatever way that we have allowed people to make those changes to simplify the process.
DG, we have to stop you. But why does it have expiration date, the ID card?
No, from beginning we have been talking about NIN. NIN does not have expiry date, but every material has an expiry date.
Do big men also come from NIN?
Of course. In fact, either road safety driver's license. In fact, they were showing the other time, Dangote went to Odetola, they went to recapture so that they can get their driver's license. The same thing, immigration. You don't see, people don't get their passport by just sitting at home. The same thing with NIN. And also for people that requires help, we also have mobile enrollment that will even go to the people so that they can help them. And all our state coordinators and front-end partners are aware of those services.
All right. Director General, National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, Engineer Abdulaziz Aliyu, would like to appreciate you for being our guest this morning. Very interesting conversation. And we hope that viewers have had a great deal of enlightenment. Barrister Adeleke, Adewolu, Executive Commissioner, Stakeholder Management at the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC. We also appreciate you for being around today.
Thank you for having me.
And via Zoom, we were joined by Dr. Uche Mbanaso, Associate Professor of Cybersecurity and Executive Director, Center for Cyberspace Studies at Nasarawa State University in Kefi, Nasarawa State. Thank you very much for being our guest this morning. And last but not the least, Otumba Gbenga Adebayo, Chairman, Association of Licensed Telecommunications Operators of Nigeria, Alton. We appreciate your being around, and of course we're going to have to take off now. Claire, there are one issue that is still outstanding, but we can't talk about that now. There could be underage children whose parents bought telephones for them so that they can reach them.
We'll take up that with the
precisely
on another program platform.
That's right. Okay, so that's it for our conversation segment on Good Morning Nigeria today. Let's go over now to one of our segments, sports.
Nigerian duo Peter Olayinka and Colin Sowell were on target for Slavia Prague, who held Feyenoord to a 3-3 draw away in the first leg of the Europa Conference League quarter-final game on Thursday. Also in action was Cyril Disas, who provided the assist for one of the Feyenoord's goal. Olayinka drew Slavia Prague level on 41 minutes before Sowell put the Czech Republic side 2-1 ahead of the 67th minute. And it's in! Disas, who came on in the 64th minute, then settled teammate Marcos Sinisi, who made it 2-2 in the 74th minute. Olayinka's goal against Feyenoord was his fourth in the Europa Conference League this season, while Sowell bagged his sixth goal in the competition. Slavia Prague will welcome Feyenoord for the return leg next week Thursday. Meanwhile, Napoli has provided a positive injury update on Nigerian forward Victor Osimhen ahead of Sunday's Serie A clash against Fiorentina. Napoli reported in an official statement that Osimhen has suffered an injury on his left thigh, causing concern over the striker's availability for the upcoming home game with Fiorentina. The Partenope, however, confirmed that exams undergone by Osimhen have ruled out injuries, so the striker will be available against Fiorentina. Osimhen was forced off the pitch early during Wednesday's training session at Castel Volturno.
All right, and that does it for us. And Good Morning Nigeria for today, and indeed for the week. We thank you for joining us. It's been another insightful edition of the program. I am Claire Adelabu Abdul Razak. Always remember to join us in our fight against rape and terrorism.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. Do have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.